Hello everyone, my name's Debbie Amos and I'm a teacher with Open Sky Qigong. I'm just going to start off today with teaching you the basic stance that we use with all of our practices, and then also teaching you a grounding breath, which is a great thing to integrate at various points in your day. You can do this while you're waiting in line, you can do a seated version in your car or while you're waiting for transport. It's a really easy and brilliant practice to integrate into your life. So in terms of the stance, we're going to start with feet parallel, about shoulder width, hip width apart. Knees just slightly bent, just so that they're not locked. You can deepen the bend as you get used to doing the practices, but for the moment, if we just start with just not locked knees. Shoulders nicely relaxed and just naturally sitting back. And just take a second to settle into that. We want the weight to be evenly distributed, so you can play with this just by moving from one side to the other, moving, leaning forward, leaning back, and just picking where you can feel that your weight's evenly distributed, that you're quite nicely centered. Imagine that you've got a string through the center of your head that's just pulling up slightly, keeping your whole spine nice and straight and nice in alignment, so all your vertebrae are nicely stacked on top of each other. And just take a second just to sink into this. Play around with, as I said, with your center of gravity. See what feels centered. So this is our basic stance that we use for all of the practices. We also tend to start most practices with our hands on the lower dantian. The lower dantian is the point about 4 fingers below your belly button. And this is sort of one of the main seats of energy or qi in the body. We often store our qi or our energy in the lower dantian, so we work with that a lot in Qigong practices. So for women, it's right hand first with left hand on top. And for men, it's left hand first with right hand on top. That's just to do with the energy connections in the body. So just sinking into that posture, hands on the lower dantian, and just closing the eyes. And just naturally noticing the breath in the body. No need to change it at this point. Just naturally noticing. You might notice the chest rising and falling, or you might notice the belly rising and falling. We're now going to go into really focusing on drawing the breath into the lower dantian, the lower belly. Really try to extend the belly out as you inhale. And just naturally draw the belly in a little on the exhale. Check that your shoulders are still nice and relaxed. Your knees aren't locked. We're now going to go into the grounding breaths. So take your attention to the balls of your feet and how they connect to the ground. Really feel all that you can in that spot. Any connection, any energy, any heat, any cold, anything that you might be able to feel in that spot. And what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to take 3 big grounding breaths. What I mean by this is that on the inhale, we're going to imagine drawing the chi, drawing the energy up from the earth through that point and the balls of the feet. We're going to draw that all the way up the legs and into the lower dantian. And as we do that on the inhale, we're also going to lean slightly forward onto the balls of our feet. Then on the exhale, we're going to lean slightly back on the heels and just deeply relaxing and letting go in the body. So inhaling, we're going to lean forward on the balls of the feet, draw the chi, draw the energy up the legs into the lower dantian. And on the exhale, leaning back slightly and just releasing and relaxing. Okay? Great. So closing the eyes, taking your awareness back to that point on the balls of the feet. Checking the shoulders are relaxed. Checking the knees are slightly bent. Leaning forward onto the balls of the feet and inhaling, drawing the energy up into the lower dantian. Leaning back and exhaling, deeply relaxing. Leaning forward, drawing the energy up. Leaning back, exhaling, deeply relaxing. One more. Leaning forward, drawing the energy up. And leaning back, exhaling, and deeply relaxing. Now just coming back to the center, letting the breath return to normal. Taking a moment to check in with the body, notice how it's feeling. And then gradually opening your eyes. I hope you've enjoyed this practice, and I hope you'll get a great deal of benefit through integrating this in your day. Thank you.